All right, we have started recording on session 34. Don't know how much longer she'll be, but Vivian will be with us shortly. And in the meantime, we have some retellings to do. Jackie and Kristen, would you please give a retelling of the last session you guys were a part of, and then we'll have the other players get you caught up with what happened last session.
Good lord. My memory fails me. I am struggling to recall.
Uh, I assume that we were both together in the last session, but I believe that was when Henri, Glup, and Leica were helping investigate some records.
That is correct.
Yep, and Leica helped with distractions.
Oh right, I was unionizing. That's right.
Yeah, you riled up the proletariat while Henri and Glup snuck in through the offices and basically made our way to one of the boss's offices and found a letter where we discovered that they were getting threatened, basically. I guess maybe by one of the other criminal syndicates. I don't know if we know, actually. I can't remember who.
So you found out that they were being threatened, and the other team, the team that was down at the docks, found out who was threatening them.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, and then so that's basically, I think, the gist of it. We learned about them getting threatened, and that was what Henri and Leica did.
Right on. So a character point for each of you. One thing to note as well is that after you guys reconvened, you did go and visit the magistrate, the old warrior guy, and talking to him, you found out that the weapons that had been stolen as part of the sinking of the Sandwich, those were showing up years after the event of that in areas to the north, particularly areas around swampy territories. Haven't isolated why it's in the swampy areas, but that's where they seem to be showing up. And then we'll just want to know what your characters were doing the previous day, the day after that occurred, because we're going to find out now from the other players what you missed.
Oh, meaning, should we fill that in the sheet at all? What were they doing while they were out?
Yeah. While you guys were out, what were they doing? If they were at school, they earned an experience point. If they were working a job, they might have earned some money. So, yeah, just fill in what they did and add to your character sheet what they got out of it.
Ah, cool.
If they were in school, they also have, actually, in school or at a job, both situations, they have the opportunity to learn. So you can spend experience points to get whatever was available at your place of employment and or place of education.
Cool.
Yeah. And I believe in some specific instances, roles are involved in that. So backs might have a role to make.
Just to clarify, we would only get 1 day's worth of school, right? It was for that day while Henri was out adventuring and Henri and Leica were out adventuring. This is just 1 point for the other two.
Yeah, so 1 point for the other two, but then the next day, which happened, you guys weren't here for it at session, but the day happened, so they can have been at school for that day as well.
Oh, hell yeah. All three?
Ideally, yeah. They don't have to be. It's up to you.
Oh boy, it was a fun day.
That extra experience point, though, can be quite valuable.
It's like Eve. You can earn XP while you're offline.
Exactly.
I'm gonna have both. Rather, Bax and Trumpy will be doing their regular schooling, And Leica will gain... Oh shit, hang on.
I love that Trumpy, like, went to the ATG for a day, got the library pass, and has not gone back since. Has spent every day of school in the Celebran University library with that pass.
Multi-pass. Let's go. Okay. I think I got all my bookkeeping done for the characters that were schooling, with the exception of Bax, who potentially has rolls to make. Let me.
Looks like 2 days worth of rolls to make for Bax. So it's not impossible that Bax comes out of this with some new coins if Bax has been spending some of that sweet XP. While you're doing that, Ed, could you let us know what mischief Mari got up to the previous day?
It's been a while. What did we do?
It involves some minor spelunking.
Did we? Was the last session the one where we found the weird snake thing?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So we went wandering around in the sewers as you do. And we found some really weird place, like some chests that were floating on the ceiling and other just weird magical shit. We heard a thumping under the floor and discovered that there was a people down there. And we released that person and almost got eaten by a giant jelly rock snake. But everything worked out for the best in the end. Who was it that we let out? Was it Delia?
It was Delia.
Yeah. She seemed nice. She was really mad at somebody, though.
And looking at the timing, I think she was down there for 3 or 4 days. Oh, that's excellent. Go ahead and have your character point there. Troy, would you like to give a retelling of what your character did in that session?
Yeah, sure. Chrysalzar went down. I don't... Where my stuff? So once we got everything set up and we went down, and then all drank our various potions and such, growing an extra leg, right? Or
little crab legs came out of your ankles.
crab pincers or whatever.
So you had several extra legs. Yeah.
And we used that to get down. And then a couple of us had to we veered off in a room, and a couple of us had to carry... Who was there? Glup? No.
Kyleo.
Kyleo. We had to carry Kyleo like a balloon. Because Kyleo was on the ceiling and we were on the floor. As kids usually are on the floor. And we... I don't remember at what point I helped Nest with magic, and I don't remember what it was now. But I as always, am usually assisting more than casting magic, which is interesting. But we were able to score a bunch of wine from a cache, from a floating box, coffin thing. And we all brought wine back. And so once we had dealt with the bad situation and got the person out and got home, I believe we sold the wine to Grammy.
That's correct.
And so we made a little money, and it was some good stuff apparently. So that was good.
I have a quick question regarding my expert sword tests.
Yes.
It says it cost me 3 sword merits and 1 fitness merit. Do I pay once for both tests or per test?
Per test. So you're doing the test on one day and then again on the next day?
Oh, no. I mean, like, there's an agility and a fuck.
Oh, right. Let's see. Does that one say and or?
It says expert sword drills, difficulty 7, vigor or agility.
Right, that's an or. So it's not 2 tests.
So I don't do it. So okay, I only have to roll once per day.
Yeah, you roll once, but you have your choice of doing it either with your vigor or your agility, depending on which style of swordsmanship you're training.
I'm going vigor, baby. Let's go. God damn it.
Whew. Missed by 1. That's a close one right there.
And so, hang on a second. I have not been able to pass, so I don't think I can afford to take the test a second time.
You have the fitness. I don't think you have the sword tokens to take it a second time.
So in that case, I guess I can choose to do more fitness merit stuff? Is that the case?
Yeah. Or if you do the sword one, you can potentially just multiply your sword tokens without necessarily needing to get more fitness tokens.
Okay. I will do a sword drill, standard sword drill.
Okay.
Try and build my
Standard sword drill, yeah. You spend a sword merit, and you get 2 tests. If you pass both tests, you end up with 2 sword merits.
So that is a success on the first sword test. And that's the second sword test, both pass, so I get 2 tokens then.
I just feel like the time for Flash of Insight.
Okay, I can take my next expert test next time. Or try and grind out some more, so if I do fail, I can still get more sword merits.
Awesome. Do you want me to update your merit tallies for you?
I have it updated in my character sheet, but if you want to do it on the club sheet.
Oh, you're doing it on your character sheet. Okay.
I'm doing them both just to make sure it's written in both places for your access and mine. Let me adjust that.
Trying to see if he pulls something. Get it.
So I'm pretty sure you're at fitness 1, sword 2 now, right?
I'm a fitness. Oh yeah. Hang on, no. Oh wait, hang on. Yeah, you're probably right.
Well, I don't know. I have not been updating your merit tallies as you've been doing these. I've been just relying on you to do that, so I don't know how up to date.
My sheet, I have 2 fitness merits and 3 sword merits.
Okay, cool.
What's the payment for Flash of Insight when you're like burning experience for the reroll? Is it however many you failed?
I don't think it's just
all failed dice.
But you only have to pay 1 experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not a bad deal. So you can only do it 1 time, right, for any failed roll, and then you re-roll your failed dice, but it just costs you 1 experience to roll them again.
Yep.
So, Troy, go ahead and take your character point. Good retelling. Tice, what did Kyleel do?
To prepare for the going down below, he went and manufactured his own potion and decided to infuse it with some of the Kyle prayer magic, which caused him to be stuck on the roof for quite a bit of the adventure, which also so happened to help us at the same time because I was able to walk on the surface of the boxes to get the wine. And then we came across a place where there was someone underneath, and with my thing, I was able to create a small little opening to so that one of the other ones could put their hand in there to hold on, which was able to get us out to safety.
That's
And then
right.
I gave a bunch of wine. I gave a bunch of wine to Miss Abe.
Yeah, you kept some for Miss Mabel. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's an interesting and good move. And then the key thing that you did is you created the hole so that was it Nest?
Yeah.
So the Nest could get her hand in through the hole to touch Dahlia to rescue Dahlia out of the hole with a teleport spell. Specifically, Delterra's Rescue. And and you've all made it back home safe.
I've got a quick bookkeeping thing for Zara.
Mm-hmm.
So she was at SAU for a couple sessions in a row. So she wants to test for esoteric memorization.
Awesome.
So I believe I just need to successfully cast one of my abilities or one of my spells.
I believe so. Esoteric Memorization is one of the easy ones.
Yeah, it says cast any learned spell from your spellbook. 201 preparation methods.
Excellent, yes. You need to prove to the teacher that you are capable of casting spells, and then they will happily teach you how to prepare the spells so that they can be cast more easily.
Cool. So, she's going to cast Magic Missile safely, I guess, at a targeting range somewhere where there's no people standing there. But I'm wondering if I might be able, if this would be possible, if she's wearing the Randy Gearhands costume and she's like cosplaying or playing that like it's a grenade that she's launching rather than a missile. Like, so basically, would I be able to apply the pips for the costume if that's the case?
Only if you cause an unnecessary amount of damage.
Oh god. So she looks around the room to see if there's anything that like looks like it wouldn't be too big of a deal if it got damaged.
The Randy Gearhand style is the explosions are always just a little too big.
Yeah. Okay, I think I won't do that just because I don't think Zara... Actually, she's pretty chaotic. I'm gonna go for it. So, like, hopefully nothing too bad happens. But she kind of looks around the room and looks in an area that looks like it would be okay to, like, cast the magic missile, but, you know, but it probably won't be, given how she's kind of careless.
Cool. So the way I'm going to do this is you need one success, and if you get that one success, the spell goes off normally. If you get 2 successes, there will be some additional area damage that was not intended. If you get 3 successes, that damage will be sufficient that they want to punish you, and you don't pass the test. Does that sound good?
All right. Well, definitely not going to get 3 successes because I've only got 2 dice.
Okay.
All right. I will go for it now.
But if they're both 10,
There you go. You disintegrate their practice dummy, and they're going to have to make a brand new one.
She's excited by this. Like, maybe another child might be like, "Oh, am I going to get in trouble?" But Zara's just like very giddy and ecstatic with the destruction.
You notice that most of the teachers are a little bit worried about how excited you are, with 2 exceptions. Your abjuration instructor and your evocation instructor both find this fascinating.
Excellent.
The other 6, not so much.
So she was in school for 2 days in a row. Is it possible to learn another talent for that second day?
Yes. Yes, it is. So that second day, you can now attend the class you just qualified to take.
Okay, let me see. Ooh, this one might be difficult. Let me see. I actually don't know how well I'll do at this, but I'll try it. So I was thinking of esoteric channeling, because that's the thing I think you were talking about it before, where like if you got a relatively cheap spell, you can kind of more regularly cast it because you can pay the cost with like extra dice or whatever, extra successes.
Yes, I believe that's channeling. Let me double check.
Yeah, I actually pulled up the wiki. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, if the wiki says that's what it is, there's a reason I put it in there. It's I definitely wanted you to have access to that.
It says I need to pass a difficulty 5 oral exam. Cunning and scholarship. I have no idea if I have enough to do this, but I'm just going to try anyway.
Might as well.
Ooh. Yep, I have 5 dice, so I'll have to get all successes.
It's advanced magic, yeah.
All right, let's see.
There are rewards for studying. Actually getting your scholarship and your cunning and your focus up to high levels.
Definitely. I need to get my aptitudes up, but those are pricey. All right, she whiffs it.
Well, she hasn't gotten into that class yet. The math of how you're actually using your own excess energies to loop back and fuel your own spells, a little complicated, but still have a day of school where if you have the character points, you could buy esoteric memorization.
Excellent. And that was it. Thank you. Those were just the only tests I needed to take for my character.
No problem. Did anyone else have any bookkeeping that they wanted to get done before we start looking at which adventure to go on today?
Yeah, just one thing. I wanted. L. Ross is going to attempt the exam for 302. You have to improvise a level 2 spell, or to do it.
Alrighty. Go ahead and make that roll.
Gonna make a room full of spiders.
A room full of spiders? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Potentially triggering for some, but go ahead.
I don't think I have advantage for this, but yeah.
Alright. That's a success. You passed the test, and let's see, you said it was 302?
Yes.
Oh, high energy thaumaturgic systems. Yeah. All right. Well, you have access to that class now. The next day that you attend class, you will have the ability to purchase esoteric compression. That's a potentially potent one for just taking a simple spell and dialing it up. Are we good now on all that stuff? All right, cool. Then let's take a look at the available adventures. Investigating the criminal syndicate is still on the table, but as under no particular time pressure. a week or so ago, you guys had sort of alerted them to your presence by going after the one of their money laundering scams. So they're kind of gone to ground anyway, but they have their thing that they're doing that you can continue to investigate. Alternatively, you can go explore the Northern Forest just for funsies, because it's there. It's a nice little day trip. Just hop a wagon, go out into the forest. It's not an uncivilized place. There's like campgrounds and stuff. And then come home at the end of the day. You can investigate Miss Mabel and her nightly activities. This would involve at least one character not getting their rest for the previous night. Instead, staying up late, taking attacks of exhaustion, and learning what she does, basically. And then, during the day, you guys can form up as an investigative group and go investigate the people that she interacts with in the evenings. You can also investigate Andre's dream. Andre has been having a strange dream of late. And having revealed that dream to the others, Wampy sent a letter to the druids that Wampy's been corresponding with on the moon. And their response has indicated that you should probably come visit the moon and talk to the Inuits about their Inui Moon King situation. There's also the opportunity to perform upgrades to the orphanage. That is becoming rapidly less important as we approach the end of the campaign, as you won't get the advantages of having like extra tax recovered after a good night's sleep in fancier beds for much longer. So that's not really a big deal. You could also go investigate the Pebble Street gang, although all of the things that they might have helped you with have kind of already happened. So that would also be a just for funsies kind of thing. And then if you're ready to start the end of the story, you can investigate the Shadow Man in the prison at the Crimson Guard Barracks. What among those feels like the thing that you guys are most interested in doing? I was hoping Vivian would be back in time to help you make this decision, but looks like she's still got some stuff to do. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm in between explore the Northern Forest and investigate Miss Mabel.
Did anybody else have any opinions? Those are two good options.
The Northern Forest is interesting. I'm cool with either, really. We could throw it into a random number generator.
Those all sound like personal choices.
Could do. I like the idea of investigating Henri's dream, but if Henri is not so enthused, then I'm down for whatever.
Oh, your mic has gone quiet again.
Is this better?
Yes. What were you saying?
I'm down for whatever. If Henri isn't that interested in investigating their dream, then I'd be down for other options.
I was thinking of taking Francis out. So I don't think Henri will be out this time.
Okie dokie. If Francis is out, then I have options.
Ed, did you have anything that you wanted to explore?
I have no opinion either way. The Northern Forest, though, sounds interesting.
Cool.
That's 2 for Northern Forest. What sort of challenges can we expect to encounter there?
The Northern Forest is something that was an option right from the start. It's probably going to open up some information about things. In terms of challenges, it is not an urban environment. From what you've heard, it's more like a sort of outdoor park. It's still part of it's still really close to Sleebury, so we're not talking about going deep into the woods and spending weeks hiking through difficult terrain. This is more of a friendly kind of there's going to be park rangers but you do know that the forest is most noted for its druid circles. There are circles of druids that are not affiliated with the moons. So here in the city, most of the druids you've been encountering through your various adventures have been coming down from the Moon King's court, where the druids of the 3 moons, now 2 moons and a giant crater in the desert, were doing their own little political stuff. But there's a lot of other different kinds of druids, and a lot of the nature-y kind of forest and animal druids hang out in the Northern Forest. So that would be the kind of people you would be likely to encounter there. I mean, the primary motivation for going to the Northern Forest would be to have fun. It's a fun outdoor activity for all ages.
It does sound fun.
And for characters that are interested in nature and learning about it, it's a great opportunity. Is that what everybody's feeling?
Sounds fun to me.
Yeah. Bring out Kyleel again so I can maybe find some herbals and stuff for my pharmacy kits.
Right on. Troy, you're good with that?
Yeah, sounds good.
Alrighty, to the Northern Forest you go.
We can assume. I don't know if we want to allow. We can assume that Vivian's character that wants to become a druid would want to be the one that comes on this adventure.
Probably. We'll find out when Vivian gets here. In the meantime, which characters are coming out?
Let me see. I will bring Fax, because running, jumping, and playing in the woods sounds really fun for that character.
Bring Sherry.
Aw. That makes a lot of sense. It's very different from the oceans, but yeah. Shari seems like the kind of character that would enjoy an outdoor adventure. Lots of new things to see. We've got Shari, Box. Kristen, did you say you wanted to bring Francis for this one?
Yeah, I'll bring Francis.
Yeah. And then Tice, you're bringing Kyleel. Let's see. And And Troy, you're bringing Kofric. Awesome. Kofric's been doing a lot of work with the ATG. What is Kofric looking to get out of this experience?
I'm not sure. He dabbled into herbs. He's excelling in like medicinal stuff.
Okay. No, that's good. Outdoors, like, there's probably a bunch of new plants and things you haven't seen. All of the people you work with at the ATG are probably really familiar with the flora that would exist in the northern forest, but you're coming from the south, so don't have as much experience with it, I'm guessing. All right. So, unlike some adventures where you'd be sneaking off or skipping school, this one would be officially sanctioned. So Miss Mabel is going to go with Grammy and get you guys some lunches packed up and make sure bright and early in the morning you're on the cart to the Northern Forest, so you'll have a good full day once you arrive. There is, of course, the question about chaperone. Who will be escorting the kids? You can either attempt a persuasion against Miss Mabel to go unchaperoned, or nominate one of the various adults that you know from the community to try to be the chaperone. Some of those adults may require a persuasion check to convince them to be your chaperone, but anyone that is a mentor of one of the kids that's coming will do so without a check.
I was hoping to get. I always can forget his name. We just had his trial not long ago. It seems like he wouldn't mind to go out to have some relaxing time after like that big stressful thing.
Lorpin.
Yeah, Lorpin.
Yeah, Lorpin's not a bad idea. Is Lorpin someone's mentor?
I think Viv.
The Araxi, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, technically, he owes us for saving his life.
That's what you want to cash the favor in on? Or cash it in on?
I mean, you're kids. Why not? Saved you from a trial. Escort us into the forest.
Sounds pretty even to me.
I would say, yeah. Because of that, if you want Lorpin to be your chaperone, then I won't make you guys roll persuasion on that. Lorpin will happily chaperone this little crew. Is that the plan?
I think so.
Cool. Then, yeah. Lorpin agrees to chaperone and hops on the cart with you as Miss Mabel double checks to make sure everyone has their lunches. And before the sun is even in the sky, which is normal for the kids that have worked with the fishing guild, you guys are riding the cart out of the northern gate and along what is probably one of the most heavily used trade roads in the world. At least in the world local to what you guys know. It is only a few hours trip up the road. I mean, the road it's forest as soon as you leave the city. It isn't like you leave the city and there's like some farmlands or something and it gradually becomes forest. It's like out the gate, and you're in the woods. But even still, you're not exactly in the wilderness. You're still kind of in civilization, because the city's influence extends well beyond its walls. The walls contain a lot of the really important functions of the city, but there's still a lot of trade that happens locally with local farmers and hunters and orchards and berry gatherers and all manner of people that just live in the space between those walls and the next set of things. And so even after a couple hours, it's still not really feeling like wilderness, but the trees are getting a little thicker around what is still a really wide path. And this is when you guys kind of swerve off the path into a sort of informal campground. It's a lot of like the inns along the road sort of thing have these sort of big open areas for people to park their carts and secure their stuff while they stay at the inn or whatever along a long travel. This one is too close to the city to get any of that kind of traffic. The traders that get this close just keep on going into the city, as it's only a couple more hours away. So really the only people that are here are people who want to be here specifically. This is a destination spot. So the carts are not big old trade wagons loaded with goods. They're simple carts for transporting people, like the one you're in. Hey, Vivian!
Oh, sorry about that. I forgot that it was Labor Day, so nothing happening today made me think it was Sunday.
Oh, I'm sorry. They've decided to do the Northern Forest adventure.
Alright, Whompies. If they're already there, Whompy magically teleports there.
Okay. Whompy's been with you the whole time.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we also have Lorpin as our chaperone.
Yes. They selected Lorprin as the adult that's chaperoning them. And, and for the previous adventure, Nest gets a character point. Just, we already did the retellings of all of that, but, yeah.
Alright. Sorry about how late. But yeah.
No worries. All right, Whompy's on board. All right. So you've arrived at this sort of park your carts campground, and there are some buildings here, but these buildings are a bit different from the sort of architectural style. There's very little in the way of sort of what you'd call worked materials. Things seem very much natural. There is some woodwork, but not excessive amount. A lot of the buildings are made out of just stones, uncut stones that have been assembled and cemented a little bit. But you do get the feeling that these buildings are not as thermally regulated as what you're used to in the city. And it seems that a lot of the people are actually just kind of staying outside the buildings in various tents and things. And a lot of the people are dressed up in fancy, leafy garb with, like, antler head things, and it's a very druidy kind of vibe here. But it's also kind of a touristy kind of druidy vibe. You don't get the, like, sense that you're entering in some forbidden space here. It seems very welcoming. And as you guys climb out of the cart, Lorpin hops up to what is essentially a visitor center and gets a little map so that he can navigate you guys around the sort of the park here.
Are there shops? Like, people are set up selling things here, or are they en route to the main city?
Right. The actual traders that are, like, coming by here with their trade caravans are not stopping here. They're going straight to the city. The shops that are here are specific to this place. They're basically gift shops. You're at a tourist kind of campground. And the gift shops they're selling like locally made druid trinkets, you know, a good luck charm to keep the sparrows from shitting on your cart in a hot summer day, that sort of thing.
Can Whoppy look at them to tell if they actually work?
You don't even need to roll for it. This is all just, tourist knickknacks. This is the kind of thing that Ed's character from the previous adventure would have been selling. Dasco. In fact, Dasco is probably here somewhere selling this stuff.
Oh, if Dasco's here, Dasco's in trouble.
There's a few things to do here. There are camping activities, but Lorpin says we can't camp here. I got to get you kids back home. So once the sun starts getting low, we're gonna hop in the carts. But there are you can go on nature trails to sort of see the sights. There is an actual druid circle that they do use for druidic rituals. There are druids to speak with here. And there are sort of public campgrounds that are available. Although you do see some signs that there might be some issues with the public campgrounds right now. It seems like there's an unusual amount of like things marked as do not enter, at capacity, that kind of thing. I guess it wouldn't necessarily seem unusual. You've never been here, but there are those things. There are places that are marked as like at capacity. No space to camp over in there. Lorpin's got the maps and is ready to take you kids to whichever attraction you would like to see.
What attractions are there?
There's a druid circle where they do actual druid rituals. There's a scenic waterfall. There's the public campgrounds that are supposedly at capacity. There's... there's a cooking pits, too, if you wanted to do some outdoor cooking.
Francis is interested in the waterfall. Can we split up, or do we all have to go to the same place?
Lorpin would prefer that you not split up. He's been given the usual threats from Miss Mabel that if anything bad happens to the kids, she'll be cleaning her feet with a frog skin rug. So, yeah.
I was really hoping she'd change tack and say that she's going to turn him into a person.
In that case, Francis is cool with whatever. Like, I imagine Francis will know, like, Wampy's probably interested in the druid circles and is happy to do that as well.
Whoppy would very much like to go talk to the druids and maybe even partake in a ritual or two.
All right.
Yeah, maybe see if there's Orphan's been to this area for a while before. If he knows any cool areas in the forest that he might know of that are not on the map.
There is an area that's not on the map that you've heard rumors is the site of a historic battle. But that's it. You just heard rumors about that. You haven't been. You don't sure exactly where it is. You'd have to do some investigating to figure that out. The Druid Circle, on the other hand, they do actual Druid rituals there. There's some real life nature Druids out here, and they're very friendly. So Lorpin leads you guys hopping down the path. The woods are not super quiet. There's lots of birds in the air. You hear little critters rustling through the underbrush. It's much denser than the forests around Oakbrine, which were essentially leftover trees from when everything was cut down to make areas for fields. Here, nothing's been cut down. This forest is old, and it is thriving. From time to time, you do see areas, though, where it looks like a single tree may have been cut down. intentionally. Like, there's signs of some axe work on individual trees here and there, but it's not like a broad thing. It's very occasional. And then you arrive at the Druid Grove, or specifically the Hinge, the circle where the Druids perform their rituals. Well, there's not currently a ritual going on. There is a couple Druids here, one of whom seems to be speaking to some visiting campers. And as they have their questions asked, they wander away, and the Druid greets you as you approach. Says, "Welcome to the Hinge of Celebre." Actually, it's a little more boisterous. "Welcome to the Hinge of Celebre."
What do you do at Henges?
Says, well, the circular shape of the hinge is an excellent way for us to all arrange around it, to observe nature, to comment on its philosophies and methods, and sometimes to perform magical rituals, to grant blessings or see insight into how the forest is faring.
Sherry's eyes go really wide, and she's just, "Oh, do you do human sacrifices at the Henge? I heard about that."
Walpy, like, jams their elbow into Shari's side.
The druid actually smiles. He says, he leans down real close and kind of says, conspiratorially, like in one of those loud whispers where he's clearly not whispering, but mimicking whispering, he says, "Not for a very long time." Today's rituals are about the forest's health. Maintaining a healthy forest is an active process. Nature has cycles, and they often tend to themselves, but disease is part of nature. Rot is part of nature, and it's not always healthy. And so, by understanding it, we can learn how to address it, how to make sure that the forest processes disease and rot in a healthy way, to renew and grow again. You may have noticed along the path some trees were cut down, and that was by druids, who knew that new growth is required to keep the cycles of the forest in a healthy state.
Walpy's going to step forward and probably out from like a bunch of people being a tiny halfling. And go, Walpy is also a druid, and I've wanted to come up here Walpy's wanted to come up here for a while. Walpy is familiar with the druid, the moon druids, but has not had opportunity to learn from a nature druid. Since Walpy learned to channel nature, and would love to do the ritual with you all.
Awesome. I invite anyone who wants to make an empathy plus propriety check right now.
Okay. That is not Walpy's strong suit.
Empathy plus what? Sorry.
Propriety.
I got a whole 2 dice I can roll for you.
Yeah, if you want to do it, do it. If you don't, this is about noticing something very, very specific.
About the druids specifically?
Yeah, about
Okay.
the druid's reaction to what Walpy just said.
Does Walpy get to add their druidic potential to this?
That's way too many dice. Sorry about that.
A lot of successes there, though.
You're really listening.
Damn. I'm paying so much attention. Bax is just like channeling. They've activated their pineal gland and they're just fucking.
Actually,
Wampy, because of your druidic studies, you could use scholarship in place
Okay.
of propriety if you wanted to.
Unfortunately, they're both shit.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, Coffric found it.
I do get extra dying by doing it, but yeah.
All right, Coffric's the only one that reached the threshold here. When Wampy mentioned moon druids, there was just the slightest twitch in like the corner of his eyes expression. You get the sense that this guy doesn't like the moon druids, but he maintains his composure, and aside from that tiniest of twitches, is otherwise unfazed by it, and does invite you all to participate. This is in about another. He looks up at the sky actually where the sun is. Is about an hour-ish. We're going to have a nice little ritual where we're going to grow a new tree, and then we're going to transplant it to a place in the forest where it belongs.
Do you know a good place to find different herbs and medicinal stuff in the area?
He says, "Indeed, I do. And I will be happy to point out on your map some of the better places for finding herbs. I ask you to please do your best to not leave tracks. Please don't leave any food items off the trail or on the trail or anywhere. Be mindful that the critters of the forest are part of the forest and that your presence may frighten them. And yeah, he marks some areas as like, but you will find a reasonable amount of scavenging here. Please only take a small sample. This is not a farm. This is a natural living place."
Yes, of course. Would you like some ashta?
Raises an eyebrow and says, "Yeah, just a little hit."
And just a heads up, I took the truth potion and I mix it up with my bottles of ashta.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, like I didn't say that out of character. I said that that's out of character knowledge. Just a heads up.
Okay. Yeah. So you guys effectively don't have a truth potion anymore. Yeah, potions. Okay, yeah, you can do that. Like, you can mix that truth potion into an Asha thing. It's one use. You get to use it once. You don't get to dilute it across like a dozen things. It won't work that way.
Okay.
The bad news is we lost a truth potion. The good news is that mixing potions didn't cause the inn to explode.
Yeah. It didn't cause an explosion. That's the good news. That might be something you want to like check with your party before doing, because a lot of people put a lot of effort into getting that, and you might want to, like, before you use it on this situation, you might want to check and see, as I think some people wanted to use that for one of the criminal investigations.
It is interesting, though. I wonder what would happen mixing a truth serum with a holy relic of a god who's basically whole shtick is lying.
Yeah.
It might just make it so that no one will tell us the truth ever.
It might force him to lie.
Well, if the party doesn't want to, then I will not do it. Then I'll just give him regular ashta.
Okay. He does appreciate the ashta, though. This is good stuff. Thanks, kid.
When the guy was showing the places on the map where there might be areas to grab herbs, Francis's attention perked up, and he was also paying attention.
Okay. Right.
Actually, I'd also like to play with the pretty flowers, but, I'll try not to take very many.
Wampy like looks to Francis and has like a questioning look, like mushrooms. In the way that like triplets can like probably just speak to each other without speaking.
Yeah. Does Wampy still want to become a dragon?
So there's a plan behind that. Just basically, very far into Whompy's future, I want Whompy to try and mix solipsism with druidism to become a dragon.
I love the idea of Whompy just like going all in on multiple transformations. That sounded really cool. But yeah, it's however you want to develop the character. All right, so Lorpin asks, like, do you kids want to hop over to this area and look at the herbs before coming back for the ritual? Or do you want to stay here and talk to the druid? Whompy, you could potentially grill this druid for, like, nature magic kind of stuff.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Whompy will look to Lorpin and say, I think you can trust... Or Whompy thinks you can trust Whompy with the druid circle. Whompy will be okay. If everyone wants to go get herbs.
Cool. Give Lorpin a persuasion check to leave you alone with the druids.
All right. And I'm adding my potential to this with unabashed as my trait.
Okay. Would this be your solipsism potential?
No, I would be adding my druid potential to this one, because I'm just unabashedly saying I'm a druid. I'm basically in a safe area.
Okay. I'm going to say that in your sort of descriptive narration here, there should be a little bit of flex of your druidic magic, like leaves swirl around you and stuff.
Yeah, sure. But I want to add my... I was mostly just leaning on the fact that I have druidic magic and it's known. But yeah.
Lorpin not being a wizard kind of needs to be reminded. Like, he's like, hey, I have druidic magic. And he's like, what do you mean? It's like, and then you make some leaves swirl around you. He's like, oh, right, druidic magic, and we're in a forest. Yeah, you're safe. Okay. So Lorpin is fine with that. He's happy. No. Hey, this is my keyboard. Stay off my keyboard. Sorry, my cat had a disagreement as to whose keyboard this was. All right, so just make sure she didn't mute anything.
We could still hear you.
Good. Okay, she opened a couple browser windows and stuff. All right, yeah, everything looks good. Okay. Right, so, yeah, you stay behind with the druid to learn some druid things, and I guess everybody else proceeds with Lorpin to the area where you guys are going to be looking for herbs. Lorpin, using the map and the fact that there's like well-established trails and trail markers through this forest means that you don't really need to make an exploration check right now. He finds the area, but you will need to make a survival check if you are going to be collecting herbs. And I will let you bring back 1 herb per success. This will be survival plus perception. If you do not want to collect herbs, but would like to explore, instead let me know. I imagine for Shari, a lot of this is some overwhelming sensory information.
There's just a lot going on here.
Yeah. Just the light filtering through the trees is in some ways similar to light filtering through water, but also very different. The smells are radically different. There's no salt in the air. It's all that sort of rich earthiness of an old forest. Bax, this is classic adventure territory, right?
Hell yeah.
Tromping through the woods. Did you bring like your full Crimson Guard outfit? Like, are you dressed to be on patrol?
No, I'm gonna say I'm wearing my standard Gunther.
Okay.
But I do have my sword with me.
All right. Cool. Is anyone gonna be looking for herbs, or is everybody just out here kind of exploring the wilderness?
Francis is going to look, but wondering if Madala costume helps with sniffing
Yes.
out herb.
Yes, the Madala costume would. That is a very Madala thing. Cocaine bear, all the way. All right. Each of you has found the two of you that rolled, that got successes. You found an herb. I see. Tice, did you? Oh, that was a comma. That's why I didn't accept. Okay, got it.
I'm gonna say Bax is more enjoying just being outside and being away from the academy and just enjoying the outdoors with her friends for now.
Okay. In that case, Bax can make an exploration roll. Exploration plus perception.
I got a perception of 1 to work with. It's a success! A single success!
All right. Is Shari doing anything or just like being absorbed?
I'm just kind of, yeah. I'm just wandering around picking leaves and just generally being seeing the sights of the forest.
Cool. So, Kyleel, Kofric, and Francis all tried getting herbs. Kofric and Francis each got 1 medicinal herb that you can bring back. And then Bax is exploring. Wampy, in your conversation with the druid suggests that since you now have a wild shape, that you spend time meditating as a wild shape to see what lessons being a frog amongst frogs and doing frog things can teach you about nature. I have added to the private tutors and clubs section a section for frog meditation.
All right.
Something in my math is not adding up. Oh, okay. Yeah, I got it. All right. And then Bax, as you're walking around the area where they're collecting herbs, sort of, I guess, practicing with your sword and being an adventurous Faithanok in the world of make-believe, you almost trip over somebody that was trying to hide. They get up with a start, and they look and they go, "Oh crap, not you guys!" And they turn and run.
Do we recognize them?
Possibly. Go ahead and make an investigation plus cunning. They seem to recognize you. They are in.
All I got's a cunning of 1. Bax is strong, not smart. It's a failure. I do not recognize them.
It's an adult-sized person, and they are running away.
Can I give chase? I do
Absolutely.
have good athletics. Okay, I give chase.
Awesome. To be contested, Vigor plus Athletics.
Yep. Do I get pips from Gunther outfit?
Yes, you do.
Get wrecked, son.
All right.
With my superior muscles, I chase him down.
You chase them down. They're an adult. They're definitely more experienced, better trained, but they also seem to be like taxed, like they're injured or something. Something's wrong. They're not. They're stumbling. They're not able to keep up. Yeah, you catch up with them. What do you want to do?
Where do you recognize me from? Just chasing him down and interrogating.
Says, you're those kids from the south, from Oak Brine.
Okay, so this guy recognizes us from Oak Brine. Is he a bandit?
Potentially.
I'm too stupid to know. Someone help me out here.
Everyone else, you do hear Bax kind of shouting and running off into the forest. Lorpin is hopping after you, but Lorpin is an old frog.
Lorpin is also a frog, though, so...
If this was on the ocean, Lorpin would already be there, but Lorpin is an old frog.
I see.
Yeah, not in the best physical shape. Lorpin's well past his prime. Is anybody else running after him?
Sure. Yeah, Kyle will run after. Seems like don't want to be caught by ourselves. Well, it seems a safe place, but like we're supposed to be sort of staying together.
All right, Bax, do you want to do anything to stop this person from running? You've caught up with them easily. You can get ahead of them. You can do whatever you want. You are faster than they are.
You're gonna have to hold up a second while I wait for a grown-up. Tell them, just real, ooh, what can I do here?
You can make a persuasion check. Or you can try and do something physical.
I have a single propriety that I can toss around. I also have acrobatic. I mean, if I have to physically tackle him, it's not gonna go so good because my unarming is not great. My focus is melee, so.
I mean, if you want to do something propriety related, you could accuse him of not behaving correctly in the presence of children.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna say, what kind of weirdos just hanging out in the bushes, dude?
There you go.
Okay, and so what would that be? Empathy
Empathy, propriety.
Propriety. God damn it! My 2 key is just gonna very gently tap my 2 key there.
Honestly, I'm just impressed that Uther can handle that.
Give me 22 random results, you bastard.
I think he gets pissed off after a while.
That's a single success.
That's
Yeah, just fuck you to that.
Yeah.
Does that mean 99 is going to be the max? Maybe?
Hell yeah. He's like, fuck you, you don't have that many dice.
Why didn't he complain about 100?
Because he didn't read the last zero and read
He
the
just didn't give a shit about
He
it.
was like, nah.
Yeah.
We did a 3-digit number, get the fuck out of here.
It's like, I will acknowledge the first 2 digits. Anything beyond that, I'm simply going to pretend I never heard.
Yep.
I see.
That's
I
a
see how
good
you're
butt.
parsing it.
That's a good butt.
It makes sense.
Yeah, he'll do 50.
If somebody here has fucking 50 dice, that's insane. That's just not, I feel like,
The
possible.
the most I've seen us roll was when we helped Rorak sneak across a ship with a door, and we did so many distractions. Rorak had 20 dice.
I think that was, the only opportunity is when we do assisted rolls and grant each other dice. It has to be something fucking ridiculous.
I mean, it's fine. Flu is designed so that, if you're all fighting a dragon, you might only actually make one action as a party per turn, kind of deal. But
Yeah, I know we've had a 20+ roll before. Or more.
The Thars were very frequently doing 20+ rolls just because of Harving's ridiculous song powers.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Basically, you've given this person an opportunity to either take a point of tax to their composure or just stop, and they choose to stop. They appear to be heavily taxed as it is and not willing to further tax themselves. So they just come to stop and are like, okay, I don't want trouble. Please don't bring the scary lady. And everyone else catches up. Or at least everyone else who wanted to. Which I guess was Khalil?
Francis also joined.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're relatively all trying to catch up.
Alright. Everyone except Wampy, obviously, who is learning druidic magic. Potentially.
Sherry's mostly rolling around in the grass right now.
Okay.
Hell yeah, she's gonna get hay fever. It's gonna be sick. She comes back, her eyes are all puffy, but she's had a great fucking time.
She has like 10 ticks on her as well.
Some shit like that, yeah. Oh, it's gonna be so good.
So you've all caught up, and eventually Lorpin catches up as well. What would you like to ask this poor bedraggled bandit? Bandit basically just says, please just, I don't want any trouble. Just let me go back to camp.
Who are you?
This weirdo recognized me. He was hanging out in the bushes.
Says, I'm Lee. You don't recognize me? We
Did he have a beard or some shit?
He did, definitely, yeah. This guy is like not had a shave in a long time. Is like just completely bedraggled.
I guess, does Lorpin recognize him? I guess if he, like.
Lorpin looks at the outfit and says, "Oh, you're one of those bandits that kidnapped me, tied me up. You guys were blackmailing me." Guy nods like, yeah, it was, those were our orders. Those were our orders. Can I go now, please?
Who are you working for?
It's like, I'm not supposed to say. But he looks like kind of worried, like you guys might beat the shit out of him to get that information.
Well, Miss Mabel's coming here right now. You know, if you want to talk to her about it.
No, please not the scary lady. We left. We did as we were told. We left. We came north of the city, completely out of Oakbrine. Look, we're camped. We're camped over there. Just let me go to my camp. You can talk to my boss. And scare him too. Do you want to really press your advantage while this dude is alone, or do you want to go talk to somebody that's maybe of a higher pay grade?
I think it would be good to get as much information out of this one guy as we can.
All right. So if you want to intimidate, or let me know what you're trying to do. This guy seems to still believe that Miss Maybell has magical powers. So that's, yeah.
I think Francis might want to rally someone else here to interrogate. Does anyone here have good interrogation skills.
Most interrogation is fundamentally going to be a form of persuasion, although it may not necessarily be empathy plus persuasion. For example, beating the shit out of him to get information would be vigor plus persuasion.
Yes. Like, do you know something about 50% of the bones in your body are in your hands and feet. So theoretically, if you want to break half the bones in someone's body, all you have to do is break their hands and feet.
That would be cunning plus persuasion.
I wonder if we can like combo this. So like Francis steps in and like puts his hand on what's your character's name?
Kyleo.
Francis puts his hand on Kylo's chest and says, hey, we really don't want to hurt you. So if you could just tell us everything you know, we can all walk away from here unharmed.
Classic good cop, bad cop routine. Whoever's playing bad cop is going to need to make the intimidation roll, which, if you're going with what you just said, Kyleel, that would be cunning plus persuasion. And then that will be bonus dice for the good cop roll, which would, in this case, be empathy plus persuasion. Kristen, you're probably going to want to wait for the dice results from your helper before you make your roll.
Cool. Yeah, I'll hold off. I'm just queuing it up.
Just think if I could use my my divine magic in this as well.
Do
you have advantage? Do any of your traits apply?
Jonathan costume. Let's see here. See, I'm far from home. That's one of my key traits.
Okay, no, that is literally true. You have left the city and gone to the northern forest. You are far from home. Maybe not far in the more broader world sense, but from the perspective of a child, you're definitely in a distant place with distant rules. So yeah, you can go ahead and, using your advantage, you can add in one of your potentials. If you're doing some magic, I would like to know what kind of magic you're using. Like, what does it look like?
Divine magic. It's a Kael magic. Basically, I'm actually intending to hurt him, but I'm basically lying. Like, I'm using it to fuel my lie.
Okay. Let's go ahead and make your roll. We'll see what the result looks like. All right. With a little bit of subtle magic, he feels for a moment sort of an intimate familiarity with the bones in his hands and feet. Sort of glances down and has a sort of almost religious vision of how many bones there are there to break. And then, Francis, you can make your roll. You've got 5 bonus dice from the initial intimidation.
Great. That roll is significantly better than mine could ever be. Okay.
Why only 2 dice?
So I'm rolling persuasion and empathy?
With 5 bonus dice.
Oh. Sorry, I thought it was 5 pip.
Yes, I see your 5 pips there. Yeah, so that should have been a total of D7.
Got it. With no pips.
Right. Okay. So this person is sufficiently terrified for you to ask 6 questions with what you are almost certain will be true answers. What is your first question? And you can consult with your teammates about what kind of questions you want to ask here.
I feel like we'll want to know who and why. So, like, who are you working for? Why did you do what you did?
Is your first question, who are you working for?
What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Cool.
We were working for the Blade Breakers. They paid us to go south and make contact with some cultists, and then set up in the forest. And they gave us intel about a Anu that had done some bad stuff that we could blackmail. That was our payment for giving them some help and instructions to some cultists that were down there. They didn't pay us with money. They paid us with a lucrative blackmail victim. Five questions left.
So I
You guys
guess
fucked with Lorpin.
Are you asking him, or are you just generally talking to your group?
I mean, that's basically what he's saying, right? There's only...
Yeah. Says he was paid by the Blade Breakers, but the payment that they received was the information that they used to blackmail Lorpin.
Got it.
So blackmailing Lorpin was their payment for a job they did with delivering some kind of information to some cultists that were in the Oakbrine area.
What was the information?
Is that going to be one of the questions?
Yes, if everyone's okay with that.
Yep.
All right. Says I genuinely don't know what the information is or was. I just know that it was like orders, basically, like instructions of something to do. I don't know what it was that they were to do. I just know that they were sent instructions from somebody. The Blade Breakers had us deliver those instructions on our way down.
Lorpin, do you have any questions for him?
Lorpin growls and says, "Where's my goddamn money?" Lorpin is quite upset because these are kind of the people responsible for the whole trial incident to begin with, in a way. Although maybe not. Maybe they're just working for them. It's not really clear yet. But there's definitely an affiliation, and that was potentially the worst, 3 to 4 days of Lorpin's life. So, yeah. Lorpin's mad. 4 questions left.
Wait, did he answer the question?
To
About where the money is?
ability. He is not of a high enough pay grade to necessarily know what the instructions were, just that they were delivering instructions. But that was, yeah, effectively the answer you're gonna get from this guy.
Yeah, he doesn't know where the money is then, so he didn't have that instruction or that information.
For the Lorpin one, yeah, he does know where that is actually. So if you're gonna let Lorpin's question be a question, then he will say, "What's left of it is with the boss in the boss's tent in the camp. We didn't have time to spend it. We just got out of there. We've been hiding up here ever since." 3 questions left.
I think it would be a good idea to ask how many people are at the boss's camp so we can get some intel before we head there. And like what, I don't know, what kind of armaments they have. I don't know if that counts as one question. What do you guys?
Yeah. Is that you want to ask that?
Sure.
All right, yeah. So Francis will say, tell us exactly who is at the boss's camp and what kind of weapons they have.
Says we've had a lot of deserters since we moved up here. There's only 12 of us left. We do still have weapons, but we promise we won't hurt the kids. Just don't let the scary lady come back. Pressing him for more information about the weapons, you find that they are very poorly equipped right now. While they do have money, they are afraid to go into Celebre to make use of it, and what would otherwise be a very easy way to just completely re-equip and re-outfit. Their fear of going south has crippled them, and so they do have like some swords and some bows and stuff. They've got some basic leather armor, but it's all in bad need of repair. None of it's of a good quality. Two questions left.
I don't know. The only thing I can think of is to ask them why they're camping out here, but that might be pretty obvious. Anyone have any other questions?
I'm curious, like what happened when the scary lady came to see them?
All right, you want to ask that?
Yeah, if that's okay.
Yep, sounds good.
It was terrifying. The whole forest came alive. Every tree had her face. This has somewhat traumatized this person, so they're like kind of huddling up with the memory of it. We tried to run, but the roots were dragging us down. So yeah, some of my friends, I never saw them again. They went into the earth and never came out. We ran north, and yeah, that was it. Once we got past the city, the tree stopped having her face, and we've been just hiding here ever since. One question left before this person is just completely psychologically detached from reality and unable to give you useful information. You don't have to ask the final question. You can let this person go or escort them to their camp and try talking to their boss.
I do have I just thought of a question. What will it take for you to testify against the Blade Breakers?
All right. Yeah, if that's your final question, this person is essentially right now ready to testify. But that does not necessarily mean they're going to be ready to testify once they get back to the city. The main reason they're ready to testify is because you just threatened to break all of the bones in their hands and feet.
We have a crystal ball recorder.
You do? Did you bring it with you?
I'm pretty sure I have it.
Hey, yeah, I mean, this is a great opportunity to get some like really nice recordings of a beautiful, serene forest. So totally. Yeah, if you want to record testimony here, that's something you can do. Would you like your final question to be asking this person to record a testimony against the Blade Breakers?
I'm down with that.
Yeah.
All right. you set up the recording equipment, and you get a recording of him testifying that the Blade Breakers paid them to set the cultists against to give the cultists instructions, who ended up being the cultists that attacked the orphanage on your first day, and then also to that they were the ones hiding out. The testimony essentially implicates the Blade Breakers in the trial of Lorpin, as the sort of underlying force that was trying to get Lorpin to take the fall for that. And the person's essentially done. They sprint off into the woods. You can go after them, but they don't have anything useful more to say. They're broken.
Well, do we still want to go to the camp?
You can if you want, but if you're going to make it back for the Druid ritual, you need to head back to the Druids for now. You imagine, however, their camp is probably not going anywhere.
Yeah, let's go check out the amazing ritual.
Yeah. And I would kind of defer to Lorpin anyway. Like, he's the one that really wants to get his money back. We're there to help him if he wants to, but I'm sure if he knows where their camp is, has his ways and can figure that out.
Meanwhile, back at the circle, Wampy, was there anything you wanted to discuss with the Druid, or are you just going to try out the new frog meditations?
Well, yeah. I mean, so my thought was kind of to, like, have him basically, like, now it just, like, it struck me frog meditations, but, like, yeah, so, like, I asked them, like, if they, how do they, like, channel their power if they don't have, like, does nature just fuel them, essentially? With, like, the unfueled, like, fury of nature, essentially? Because Wampy's only known a moon druid, and very briefly the wolves.
Yeah, and the wolves were not super helpful at teaching you.
No, they kind of were. Stop protecting this troll.
The moon druids, for the most part, kind of were talking about the source of power as coming generally from, like, philosophy, and that kind of changed for them when the Moon King sort of took over the moon and became a literal battery of power that they can just ask with words for spells, and he just grants them by granting them by, like, redirecting energy for them. But the perspective you're getting down here from these druids is that they revere nature, and they don't talk to nature in the way of, like, saying, "Hey, tree spirit, please give me a spell of wood shaping," right? Instead, they sort of internalize the philosophies of how nature works, how it grows, how it flows. And in internalizing this, they sort of become part of that cycle, and the energies flow through them, and they sort of steer them. The way this druid describes it is, it's like, if you want to change a river, you want to change the course of a river. It says, if you just dig a trench, you're going to cause a lot of problems. There's going to be a lot of mud, a lot of, like, damaged undergrowth. There'll be collapses and things. Whereas if you just pick up stones one at a time and place them in a different spot, the water will slowly, with each stone placed, flow in a different direction without disturbing the natural order of rivers and trees and such. And so he sort of talks to you about doing that in your mind, to think of the energies that are flowing around you and think of, like, why they're flowing, and to use that as your impetus towards seeing the change that you want to see. not for you, but for the sake of the systems as a whole. It's a much more naturalistic style. If you would like to, this guy can talk to you about things that have nothing to do with frogs. You can learn all kinds of cool stuff from this guy.
Know what their wild shape is, because wild shape is very interesting to Whoppy. Whoppy also wants to know about this growing a tree and transplanting ritual that's going to happen. So Whoppy will be asking a lot of questions about that, and probably actually ask, like, can Whoppy learn and partake?
So yes, absolutely, Whoppy can learn to partake. This guy's wild shape is a stag.
Okay.
And he happily transforms, so you can see he's big old antlers and stuff. And then he says, you're absolutely welcome. You definitely, the energies of nature flow through you. If you'd like to be part of the ritual instead of just observing it, you are welcome to contribute your energies to the growth of this tree.
Whoppy would love to do so. Whoppy, last thing, Whoppy asks, do you have a mailing address?
He does not. This guy is very much an off-the-grid kind of druid. However, there kind of is, like, you could set up a thing where, like, you send mail to the visitor center, and, like, just whenever he gets a chance, he'll pop on over and check. It's not going to be as consistent as the Moon Druids, for sure. But, yeah.
Whoppy would like to set that up.
The other thing he says is, you could always just ask the wind to carry a message to me. He's very offhand about that.
Whoppy has never considered this before, because for Whoppy, Whoppy's never fully understood the wind necessarily as part of nature as much as Whoppy has been in touch with the ocean and the earth. So Whoppy says, Whoppy might try.
He says the wind is perhaps one of the most all-encompassing parts of nature, as even when the land ends and the sea begins, the wind is there, always.
Whoppy, flashbacks to their dream where they were flying, and they thought they were in the form of a dragon. They were probably in the form of just, a big bird. It says, Whoppy has neglected the wind. Whoppy will attempt to message through the wind. And if you don't hear from Whoppy, there will probably be letters at the visitor center. Whoppy likes writing. Whoppy does not read, but Whoppy writes.
All right. If you have a sufficient number of character points, you can learn Whisper of the Wind, which is a first circle spell that lets you just send a message to anyone. It's anyone where a connection can be made via air. So there's these weird edge cases where if somebody's in a different universe, or if they are in a submarine that's been hermetically sealed or something, the message might not get through, or it might get delayed. But primarily, in almost all circumstances, it means that you will immediately send your message and they'll be receiving it.
I don't have enough character points to add as a talent quite yet.
Okay.
But I assume that also would remain available with Whoppy Meditates.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, and then the ritual begins. The rest of your team arrives, and they seem excited with news, but you're engaged in the ritual with the druids. Go ahead and roll your druidic potential, and let's just see how much you contribute to it. The ritual is going to succeed no matter what. This is really just a test to see how much you contribute to sort of boost your own confidence about your druidic abilities.
Do I add anything to it, or is this just potential?
Yeah, just potential.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm looking for. I don't think I have any pips to add, so this is just a straight potential roll.
Cool. Yeah, you contribute. It's not like an overwhelming amount, but it's not nothing. You're part of the flow of nature, and you guys turn a seed into a sapling. The druids are careful not to put too much energy into it, as they don't want it to be too big for them to carry to the place where it's going to grow. But they put it in the middle of the circle, and yeah, everybody stands. This hinge is it's a circle of like flat stones for sitting on, in a big ring around a central area of dirt. And the dirt is like rich soil that there's like flowers and all kinds of stuff growing around it. But it's they dig up sort of a hole in the soil. They put the seed in. They grow the tree, and then they carefully scoop out the fresh roots of the tree, and carry it off into the forest to plant it in the place that's been designated for it. After the planting is done, and which they invite the crowd to come with them and see the planting of it, it's in a place where one of the older trees had been cut down, and this is going to be the new tree that will take its place as part of the renewing cycles of the forest. The trunk of the old tree has actually been split a few times. They've taken an axe to it and opened it up, and they explain that this is to allow insects to go into it to begin eating and rotting away the internals of the wood, so that different funguses can grow. Herbalistic mushrooms can come from this process, and it keeps the cycle turning. And then you meet back up with everybody who's been sort of impatiently waiting to give you the news of, I'll let you guys say it.
We found the bandit. We found the bandit camp again.
You found bandits? Get up out of the
Yeah, you
grass.
remember the ones that were blackmailing at Oakbrine? The first Oakbrine.
Did you give them their boots back?
That's a great callback, Ed. Thank you.
Was he wearing boots?
The last time you guys encountered these people, I believe Shari told them that Miss Mabel turns people into boots.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but was Wampy not the one that they kidnapped? Yeah.
Wampy and Lorpin, yep.
So Wampy's going to say, "You found them? Where? Where? Where?"
Oh, they're in the campgrounds. We already scared one of them by talking about bones.
And we got a recording so that we can potentially use it in court if we get them on trial.
More than just them, the recording, it implicates the Blade Breakers as being the underlying reason that they knew how to blackmail Lorpin to begin with.
Yeah. Right. Wampy's not going to add anything useful, but Wampy's just standing there fuming. Wampy has business to settle.
Lorpin agrees, and while Lorpin was supposed to be the responsible adult to keep you kids out of trouble, Lorpin wants a little bit of vengeance against these guys too.
No.
Lorpin does think it might be a good idea to bring one of the druids as backup.
Wampy will just run back and I assume that I was talking to a druid.
Yeah.
Just one main druid who was like took the time to like sit down with Whoppy, kind of like a instructor would. And go to them and be like, Whoppy's found out about a bandit camp in the forest. Bandits who previously kidnapped Whoppy and would like assistance from the circle in confronting them.
The druid says, "We're aware of the bandits. We've sectioned out a space and marked it on the maps for people to stay out of it, to just keep them separate. They came here terrified out of their minds and badly malnourished. Some of them had some pretty severe injuries, and yeah, we've sort of been trying to help them calm down and sort of readapt into some form of society. Obviously, we're not big on like the city, so we're not encouraging them to go back to the city, but we're hopeful that they'll learn to live off the land and to be kinder and more rational people."
Whoppy looks at him and says, "Baby, part of healing would be making things right with those they hurt, like Whoppy and my friend Lorpin. We would really appreciate a druid to come with us to confront them about that."
All right, go ahead and make a persuasion check.
Something Whoppy is actually good.
And it's not super difficult. These guys have been his sort of rehabilitation project that he's been working on for a while.
Is this empathy or cunning? I think it's empathy.
Empathy, yeah. At no point have you lied to this guy or tried to trick him in any way. Okay, yeah. This is, yeah, absolutely. If it aids in their rehabilitation, I think that it would be very good for them to confront their past.
All right. Whoppy's going to return to the group with the druid.
All right, so you guys have an elder druid coming with you. Traveling through the forest, he prefers to travel as a stag. So he shapeshifts into the form of the stag and is sort of bounding through the woods in the general vicinity of you guys, just sort of enjoying the joy of movement. And you guys come to the campground. This camp is a bit of a mess. So these guys have they've been living off the land, and they seem to be doing pretty good at that, but they've not been maintaining their equipment. And so it's been a couple weeks of them just like kind of letting things slowly fall apart. There is one tent that's larger than the others, the commander's tent. And yeah, the druid becomes human again and guides you all to the commander's tent, where the commander greets you, recognizes the druid, then sees the rest of you and gets that same frightened look that the other bandit had. But he doesn't look super surprised, so you're guessing that the other bandit probably told him that you guys were here. So he's like, okay, we're doing this. All right, and so they stoke the fire in the fire pit. They get some meat on skewers a-cooking for the noonday meal, and everybody sits down, and you guys have a chat. Is there anything in particular you guys would like to accomplish during this? For example, getting Lorpin's money back.
Yeah, I think that's...
Gain Lorpin's money back, and also Whoppy on a personal level. After listening to the druid talk about what they were trying to do with them, Whoppy wants to give them some form of closure where they don't have to worry about Miss Mabel coming back. but recognize that this might be better.
Okay, that's really nice of Wampy. Yeah.
Sherry's amazing. Just like absolutely impressed with this guy that can turn into a stag. And so she's just following him around, asking him about like any animal that comes to her mind. She asks him if he can turn into that.
With the exception of the stag, the answer is consistently no. But
she continuously does it anyway. Yeah. She asks if there are druids that can turn into fish.
Says yes.
That's amazing. Sometimes I wish I could turn into a
Also,
fish.
every animal you ask if he can turn into, he doesn't just say no. He says no, but, and he can name somebody that can turn into it. He also had some like animal facts about like their migration patterns and like what kinds of food that animal likes. He is an outpouring font of information.
Can you talk to things like plants and animals?
Yes, I can.
She picks a leaf up off the ground. She says, "What does this one have to say?"
Unfortunately, that leaf is no longer connected to its tree, so his voice has gone silent.
She walks over to a bush and tears a branch off and says, "What does this say?"
Again, you took the branch off of the bush. Please refrain from doing that. But the bush is saying that the flavor of the light here is to its liking. There is delicious nutrients in the soil, and that it is hoping to grow some fresh and beautiful berries in the fall.
Sherry seems absolutely happy with that. She picks up a small handful of soil and begins tasting it.
The druid actually does not find that to be out of bounds. It's like, yeah, see. If you have the tongue for it, you may taste the nutrients that the plants enjoy here. It'd be interesting if Shari ends up going druid as well. Sea druids would be an interesting addition. All right. Meanwhile, the situation with around the campfire. So, those of you that want to get Lorpin's money back, go ahead and make persuasion checks. That's going to be against what this guy's about to roll. So collectively, you guys need to push past a 5 to get this guy to relinquish. Otherwise, his arguments about how this is all that his people have left and that they need it to buy food to sustain themselves while they recover, that argument will win the day. But if you can put together 5 successes, then you'll overcome that and get Lorpin's money back. Wampy, you are excluded from that because you're doing something very, very different. You're actually trying to legitimately help heal them emotionally and psychologically, which is awesome. I would like you to make a roll. I have not decided what that roll is yet, and I'm open to suggestions. It's definitely empathy.
Yeah.
I think medicine might actually be the right choice here, even though it's more psychological than physical. They're kind of in the same ballpark of intent.
Are these actions kind of related? Like Wampy granting them forgiveness will kind of release them from Miss Maybell's ire, and then that would convince them to give us the money?
If you're treating it as a bribe, like give us the money or Miss Maybell will get you, then that is counter to what Wampy is attempting, as that continues to maintain their fear. Yeah.
Well, not a bribe, but more like an even trade. Like, hey, you took this money, and that is partly why Miss Maybell is upset with you. If you make amends by giving the money back, then you're in the clear.
That still makes it transactional, which means that Miss Maybell is still a terrifying thing that they are afraid of in that transaction. In order for them to become not afraid of Miss Maybell, they would need to not have that be a thing. Like, it doesn't matter if Miss Mabel is mad at us or not.
Do we know why they took the money in the first place? Why they did all this shit in the first place?
Yeah, so you found out from the first one you interrogated that the money that they got from Lorpin was their payment for a service that they did for the Blade Breakers. The Blade Breakers didn't give them money to do this service. So the service was they were delivering instructions of some sort to the shadow cult of the Empty Prince. And they did that, but instead of getting paid money for it, they were paid in information that they were able to use to blackmail Lorpin. So the money that they got from Lorpin was sort of their payment for delivering stuff to the Empty Prince cult. That is an interesting thing for those of you who are part of the broader Blade Breakers investigation. It's one of the reasons why you've never been able to find financial records about it, because they never paid them with money. They paid them with information. So none of your financial records research ever came up with this because no money changed hands. The money was, essentially, they were paid for that service by Lorpin. Lorpin paid them the money that they were owed for delivering instructions to the Cult of the Empty Prince.
Sherry, realizing all this, sits down next to one of the bandits and like puts her hand on his shoulder and just says, "Okay, look. So like, you're a member of a crew, right? And you're on a ship, and the captain hasn't paid you in like a year, you know? So you're pretty upset about that, but then the captain says, no, don't worry. I'm going to pay you in information. I've got this map, and he pulls out a piece of paper and waves it in front of your face. He says, this map's going to make Saul rich. That sounds pretty good. But it's just a blank piece of paper. This is the oldest trick in the book, see? Like, don't ever get paid in information. It's if they have the information to get you the money, tell them, cool. Go get me the money. She pats him on the shoulder and says, let this be a lesson. Let this be a lesson.
Cool. Yeah, go ahead and make a roll for helping them teach them the lesson. Are you working with Wampy to try and like psychologically heal them, or are you working with the rest of the crew to get Lorpin's money back?
I don't care about the money. I just don't want them to be well, I mean, just like it's a crew of sailors being taken advantage of by a charismatic captain. You know, I just can't abide by that.
Their sort of captain is here, but it seems like the captain also got played. Like they got played by the Blade Breakers. Yeah,
it's the standard. You know, captain doesn't want to get thrown overboard, and so he's going to tell his crew he's got he's got some information. Okay, so the money's coming. The money's coming for sure.
This is more like Captain was told to deliver some goods, but instead of getting paid for the goods, the merchant company that asked him to sail the goods over to the island told him where some treasure on the island was buried and said that's going to be your payment. That's essentially what happened, and the captain fell for it, took it, got some money out of Lorpin. It wasn't like there was nothing there, but eventually that money ran dry. He got run out of town by Miss Mabel, and they've been in a bad space ever since.
Yeah, and then that's the gist of her lesson. Don't trade services with real value for a treasure map.
It's a good lesson.
So just do empathy, I guess, and leadership.
Yeah, empathy plus leadership. That's a good roll. Awesome. 2 points towards healing them. And then, Wampy, have you decided what you want to roll and what you want your speech to be?
So, Wampy, I've actually been considering about empathy and performance.
Okay.
With by use and add my druidic potential by basically using druidic like images and like pulling up like pointing to things that they could use. And Wampy's going to say, I Whoppy um that you all made a lot of mistakes, and that led to something that Whoppy themselves would be afraid of going through. Um, but look at what you have here. It's not about getting the courage to go back and go back south. It's not about buying new supplies. The forest has what you need. You can live in the forest. You can live off the land. You just have to uh, commit to that and not necessarily live in your past with Miss Mabel. And Whoppy's going to like pull up little like some herbs that Whoppy has or actually you all scavenge for herbs. So Whoppy's going to point to that and say, this can be used for this can be used for this. The druids here I know have been helping you. And that could be your life. If you commit to that life, like you don't have anything to fear from Miss Mabel. Miss Mabel only did that because you harmed us. But to live with nature, Whoppy thinks you would be better off. It's a little like performative, like monologue, is it?
Awesome. And as you're talking about like living with nature, the druid is like gesturing to himself. It's like, I do this all day. Like, it's not a problem. Like, I haven't gone out and bought food since I became a druid. And so the druid is giving you 5 pips to add to your roll. That was that roll that I just made. That was the druid's, druid's contribution to your speech. Which is silent, but just kind of gesturing to himself. It's like, see? Like this.
Would my gift of modesty also help here?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. That is awesome. So that you have healed these people. They're no longer afraid of Miss Mabel. They are still a little reluctant to give up the money that they have. But we still have some other persuasion checks coming, I think.
Yeah. Thinking, like, kind of like sit beside the captain and like offer him a shot of Ashton and stuff. Like, listen, I know you want to get back at the Blade Breakers, but if you have this money on you, the law will see it as you actively participating in the schemes. But if you give it back to Lorpin, then you have no ties to any wrongdoings. And so if you give the money back and give a testifying against the Blade Breakers, the Blade Breakers will be arrested, and potentially there'll be stuff of theirs left over somewhere in the city that someone might not find missing or something. If for some poor people that were down on their luck, needed help with, would go and get.
All right, go ahead and make a. This is persuasion plus cunning. You're not lying, you're not presenting this as like an empathetic situation. You're presenting this as a logical. This is how you get out of the bad and how you maybe get some good. So that's a good cunning plus persuasion right there.
Just see if I get any pips or anything. Well, I get pips from the Ashta.
Yeah, I'll say you get pips from the Ashta. You shared it with them. you'll have to tax the ashta though, because you're running out of it. It's starting to
Yeah.
deplete. All right, so that's 3 successes. 2 more successes from anybody making conversation checks to get the money back, and you'll have it back.
So Francis is going to join in and basically reveal that we do already have some testimony on record from the bandit that we had apprehended earlier. And we have, based on our experience in Lorpin's trial, we believe we'll be able to gather ample evidence against them if they aren't to comply.
Okay, this is another cunning plus persuasion kind of tactic. You're sort of treading on the same ground as what Kyleel just said, but you can contribute to that.
Would there be any way that Francis could kind of spout off some legalese from his experience in the trial?
You know what? Yes. If you want to swap persuasion for scholarship, do a cunning plus scholarship roll, and you can lay down legal framework why, if they give the money back, they would be removed from liability.
All right. I will definitely go that route. Is that still cunning?
Yes. Exactly what you needed. That's perfect. All right. Yeah. They go in. They get the. Now they don't give you everything they have. They just give the amount that they got from Lorpin. So they return to Lorpin what they had been paid for him. It takes them a little while to sort it out. They, of course, being good Celebrans, do keep financial records. But they do calculate it out and return to Lorpin what he had paid in blackmail money. So Lorpin is a wealthy frog again. Good job.
And was the captain going to do any recording or anything to?
Yeah. So particularly because like what Shari and what Wampy did with the captain is and the crew in general, they really brought them to a place of healing and renewal. So they're ready to testify, and they will happily give you guys a recording testifying as to all of their dealings, including some slightly more specific information the captain knew that the rest did not. That they were supplying the cultists not only with instructions, right? They had a letter that's like, here's your instructions. They also were supplying them with some materials. They themselves are not 100% sure what the materials were for or like how it all worked, but they do give you a list, and it sounds like it's alchemical ingredients.
Does that sound something that like Kyle might be able to look through and see exactly what it might be used for?
You might, yeah. Go ahead and make a roll for that. You're going to want to... This is going to be... this is herbalism, so you can do medicine instead of scholarship if you want to. And this would be cunning for sure. This is a puzzle to solve. Did you want to make that roll?
Yeah, just checking something quickly.
Okay, 3 successes. There we go. You look at it, and from what you can tell, this alchemical mixture's sole purpose would be to torture nature. It doesn't achieve anything specific by itself. It does bad things to natural things. It poisons the ground, but not just poisons like it's going to make things kill or die or wilt. It poisons things in a way that would cause nature pain.
Oh, like the circle we saw.
Yeah, it would definitely cause something like that darkened circle. This is something that would, yeah. It's more than just death. It's more than just like an herbicide or a pesticide. This is this is keeping things alive, but in a state of agony.
I guess I just informed the druid just in case like this ever comes up again.
The druid says, that is horrible and really dangerous. I mean, doing something like that would almost certainly cause a troll to spawn.
Yeah, there's a circle near Orphanage where that's exactly probably what they use it on.
Says, I mean, that's really terrible. Were some druids able to heal it?
I don't think it was ever healed. We met some druids, but I don't think they were doing anything about it. They were hunting a troll.
Well, that would be doing something about it, because I mean, you'd almost certainly, if you tortured nature, as you just described, I would consider it unlikely that a troll wouldn't come out of some kind of rock or tree or something to get revenge.
Yeah, though the troll is now a little tiny elf.
That is weird. I don't know anything about that or how that would happen. Trolls are they're not sentient things. They're forces of nature. They're like when you get a cut and pus forms to fight off infection, that they're like that. They're something that is protecting nature from attack. They're an instinctive, reflexive response.
Well, Whoppy's going to step in and go like, well, so our Miss Mabel, she runs the orphanage, kind of had a staff with a person who's a person like was trapped inside. And we chose to let that person go into the troll's body rather than try and pull it out of the troll, which would have been a bit difficult. Well, he's not totally telling the truth, but...
The dude says, that sounds insanely dangerous, and I would stay away from that person.
It was something to do with Peladia. Don't totally know the whole story behind Zappers.
The name Peladia makes his face light up and goes, oh, Peladia.
Yeah.
She was a very famous druid, one of the moon druids, but back in the early days of their shenanigans. I'm glad she has found a place to set root before the whole moon fiasco occurred.
Miss Mabel tells us stories of Peladia all the time.
She's rooted several days north of here. If you ever have a couple weeks to take the trip, you can go visit her tree.
Whoppy does not have the time, but would like to.
When you do, it's a worthwhile venture. She is very wise. She was the first person to really rebel against the Moon King in a significant way. She didn't rebel by force of arms. She learned that the Moon King had done to his first apprentice, who was a druid of our circle. She taught right here. The Moon King attacked our druid circle with some others that he was traveling with at the time, and convinced her somehow to travel with him as his apprentice, taught her many things, and then killed her. And when the Moon Druids tried training Peladia to be his next apprentice, she found out that the previous apprentice had been killed and rebelled and chose not to be his apprentice, and now dwells in our forest as a tree. I'm certain your Miss Mabel tells you of many of the stories of her adventures between her rebellion and her being a tree. But, yeah.
Ooh, how far is she from here?
This is about a week's travel north. Way too far for you kids to visit on a day trip, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But, not something that would be impossible for you to do at some point in these kids' future lives.
Maybe it's like a finale with Miss Mabel.
Miss Mabel did make the trip. Right before opening the Oakbrine White Owl Orphanage, she made the journey up to Peladia and beyond. Actually went all the way north into Talus and then came back. All right. If everybody's done everything they intended to do, Lorpin is seeing the sun getting low and is ready to get everybody back in the cart and heading back into town.
Lorpin, could you guess like a little treat on the way out?
What was that?
Ask Lorpin if you can get us a little treat on the way out, because there's probably like a little snack shop or whatever on the way out.
Oh, yeah. You guys stop by the gift store. There's a little gift shop at the visitor center. This is not like a modern Earth visitor center. The gift shop is mostly scam druid artifacts and local craft. There's not really the kind of like mass manufacturing stuff going on here. So you're not going to see like rows of identical mugs with like the park's logo on it. Park does not have a logo or an official name other than the Celebra Druid Circle. But there are little knickknacks you can buy, and also like little like sweets and candies and stuff for kids.
Yeah, sweets. Probably some like sap candies.
Okay, yeah. So you guys get some nice little like crystallized maple candy. Crystallized maple sugar.
No doo-doo-boo-day.
And you ride on home.
I helped apprehend a guy, and everyone else helped rehabilitate him.
Yeah. A whole group. The 12 people got rehabilitated in a way.
Group therapy.
Yep. And you guys have recordings of their testimony against the Blade Breakers, which will help immensely in that case. Because they knew that Lorpin could be framed for this before Lorpin was arrested. Like, they were up to this a month ago. Lorpin's trial was just a few days ago, right? Like, all that went down recently. These guys, months ago, knew that Lorpin could potentially be framed for this, could be blackmailed for it. They had... You now have evidence that they had knowledge of that ahead of time, which could be very useful. Returning to the city, it's a big change, right? Like, going for the City of the Woods was an adventure. Having spent that much time in the woods now, the city almost seems like the alien place that you're arriving to. Particularly for you, Whoppy. Like, that was a very spiritual experience you had.
Yeah.
But also for Shari. Shari had a great time. Hopefully Shari is not too badly allergic to any of the many things she was encountering.
She was alright. She had a good time. She ate some dirt.
Bax, you had a wonderful enforcement adventure. Got some good, like, outdoor, being Gunther-style hero out there. Kofric and Francis, both of you came back with some interesting herbs that you might be able to use in making healing potions or other similar things. And Kyleel, you got to participate in some spiritual activities for some other things other than your primary god, which is actually kind of enlightening. It helps you better understand your own faith, to see the faiths of others. And so it is that, with the sun well and truly set, you guys arrive back at the orphanage. Miss Mabel has already gone off on her nightly excursion, but there is food there for you. And Lorpin reads the little note Miss Mabel left and, opens up the refrigerator, gets the pre-prepared meals out for you guys, heats them up. You have your dinner. The other kids are all coming back from their various activities of the evening. And, that ends the day.
What would be the quality of the herbs that we found?
I'm going to say quality 4.
Sounds good.
Yeah, on the one hand, it's in like a sort of a designated public gathering space, so the good stuff is mostly picked. But on the other hand, that whole place is maintained by one of the most prestigious druidic circles in the West. For the main reason, and they didn't really go into this, I guess you got a little bit of it when he was telling the story about like when the Moon King attacked the Druid Circle. Before the Moon King attacked the Druid Circle, that Druid Circle was home to 2 groups, the Druids and the Biokinetics. The Biokinetics were not spiritual people. They were a kind of natural magic user that just wielded life energy as a natural part of their neurology. And they gathered there because wielding life energy works very well with druids. Like, the druids appreciate that these people can just magically make trees grow with a magic that is different from the nature magics that they use. So it was a very synergistic relationship between the druids and the biokinetics. And then the Moon King and some other people that were with the Moon King attacked the grove. It was pretty brutal. Some druids died. Some biokinetics died. But the biokinetic leader ultimately sided with the Moon King, left to become his apprentice, and took with them the book of the biokinetics teachings. In the absence of that book, the biokinetics really could only sort of teach from memory what they remembered from the book, and it's sort of scattered. They're not really an organized group anymore. The druids, on the other hand, never needed a book. They were always able to teach because nature was their teacher, and so they've maintained the circle and stayed strong. And that's the little history lesson of the Sleeping Druid Circle. And also a reminder that while the Moon King sometimes seems like a good guy, there's plenty of instances in the Moon King's past where the Moon King did some kind of heinous stuff. Like, just outright murdered people sometimes. And Andre, hearing that, may have a little jolt of maybe it's time to figure out what's going on.
Definitely.
Alrighty. I think that brings things to a conclusion for tonight. Did anybody have any final business before I shut things down? Cool. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and we'll pick up next week for the next adventure as we get closer and closer to the drawing everything together for a final conclusion on this. Have a good night.
Good night.
Yeah,
Good night.